Okay, so the intention of this series is for me over the next month to reduce the volume of my hands and to focus more on analysis. So I'm going to play 300 or 400 hands, and then I'm going to review the VPIPs. I'm not going to worry about pre-flop action so much on hands that I folded pre-flop because I can deal with that through GTO Wizard just fine. There's not really, it's very mechanical. Like there's no need to have a long discussion about those things because I'm not striving to play super exploitative. I make some exploitative moves, but not a ton. Yeah, so we'll just kind of go from there and see how it rolls. So starting with the 8-7 hand, our dude in the cutoff opens. This is a raisable, maybe somewhat defendable hand. If it was any earlier, I'd probably fold it, but I guess from the cutoff, I'm willing to go and see a flop. We get middle pair with no real draws other than looks like a backdoor straight draw. So I think I'm probably check calling a bet and then reevaluate the turn. So we see a small bet, we're gonna call. 5 comes, so now we've got a gut shot. Solver would say not to fold here. If I see a big bet, I'm likely folding. I don't see a lot of value in continuing to suck out on that gut shot. I potentially could raise to try and blow off a king or queens or tens or jacks or whatever other hands they have. I think I want to do that with 8-7 suited so that I have some more redraw. Maybe, but this is definitely a bluffable hand. I just think the size makes it so that it's not. If they had led out with 1/3 again, then I think I would put in a raise here. So it's probably going to be a fold, which it is. And then our next hand is 8s. We're under the gun. We'll open for our standard size, 2 and 2.3 in the UTG and MP, and then cut off button. I open for 3. Small blind, I'll open for 3 as well. Get a call from the big blind. We have third pair, backdoor flush, likely checking this board. Oh no, we're going to be getting a checked 2. I think I would at times bet this, and at times I would check this. Certainly has showdown value. Certainly want to see what happens on the turn. I don't know what I did here. I bet it for about half pot. Usually queen boards I'll bet for about half, and other boards that are more favorable to myself I'll bet for a third, and then more polar boards I'll bet for 3/4 on the flop. So we get a call. We get now a backdoor flush draw, middle backdoor flush draw. Otherwise the 2 doesn't do anything for us. Now we really do have a lot of showdown. I think we're going to check. And then the king, in theory, would be good for me. But, and I would expect a check, which we do, but I don't see a lot of value in like trying to bluff with 8s because I don't know what better we're folding, and likely just a whole lot better is going to call. So I think I'm going to show down, which I do. And they have ace-10. Right, so that's 2 hands. Ace-2 is going to be open on the button, just a fold. It's easy. Oops. A5s, middle position. I'll many times fold if this person had opened properly, but since they're limping, I'm going to raise. My size is bad here. Usually I would go 4.5x, so I'm not sure why I just minned. I probably misclicked or did not take into account this guy had limped. Bad player limping. So he calls. We get not a bad flop for us. I think I could see betting here. Probably should bet half to 3/4 pot. And I bet half. He folds. King Jack. I'm gonna, if the cutoff opens, yeah, so I'm gonna probably 3-bet here. Good blocking hand, great bluffing hand in my mind at this depth. They fold. Jacks, definitely putting money in. Gonna raise, and they call. We get a flush draw with middle pair, second pair. We're out of position though. Not a great flop generally for my range, I don't think. If I bet here at all, I bet a small third. Otherwise, I check. Here I checked. They check. And we hit the flush. So I think we're good to start polarizing. I should hit B75. I've been considering sticking a B150 into my turn bets in spots like this, but since we're out of position, I probably will keep it a little smaller. I actually go half pot. It's just probably a little too small. And they fold. Rest of my range, all my flushes want bets. I don't know what, and my ace X is probably, well, actually, I mean, I'm just so overvalued here. I don't know what kind of hands I'm going to be bluffing with. I guess king, ace, king, maybe with no diamonds. You really want to be blocking people's diamonds, I would think. Can't think of any other great hands to bluff there. King nine, maybe. King nine suited, like clubs or spades or whatever. I guess in that way the size isn't bad because I have so much value. The only way to get calls is to have them try and continue with smaller flushes. Or the reverse would be go bigger and hope that they have nines or eights, or eight or seven maybe that would call, or a six. But I mean, we're not the nut, so there's no point in being fully polar. So I don't know. Let's tag that as a possible review. King nine is probably, yeah, small blind open. They fold, easy peasy. Ace 10, I may mix defend versus raise. Their VPIP is quite low, so they're going to be quite strong. I think I'll just defend, which I do. We got a gut shot. We have a backdoor to middle flush. We have ace high. So not a bad board, but we'll let the pre-flop raiser bet, which they don't. Two is a dud. I think now we want to bet something, B50, which we do, and we fold them out. Our value definitely wants to get bets in there. Ace 10 is probably like a borderline showdown versus bluffable hand. Maybe we could get sixes, five, fours, threes to fold. There's no other aces that are going to fold, so really it's just those little pocket pairs. Maybe a seven. I don't see a lot of better folding. So probably rather be doing this with queen or with king 10. King 10 would be the better hand because then it gets all those aces to fold. Queens, smash it, fold. Ace 6 raise. 3-bet with ace 6. So this guy had no read on. Not really deep enough to kind of go fishing, but I'm in position. I got a pretty good ace, and I figured let's see a flop. Their size is good. It's a couple more than 3x. It's many times I would fold here. If I had better stats on this person, I would maybe probably fold if they were good tight player. If they're a fishy, then I certainly would call. But I don't know. We're suited ace. We're in position, so it feels like this is not necessarily a slam dunk, but it also feels a little tight to fold. So I call. We get in a top pair with a backdoor, and we got to be careful because they are the stronger hand, but they are also in the big blind. But then again, we don't have any stats on them, so we don't know how much they bet out of the big blind. They bet a fine 1/3 pot. So we're of course calling to see what the turn comes, and the turn comes nothing. So again, I think our ranges are basically even. I wouldn't expect too big a bet from them unless they do have a very strong ace and they're trying to get value from smaller aces like my hand. We no longer have any draws, so we're just basically bluff catching at this point. I think if we get a check, I'm checking back with this hand, and we check back with many of my smaller aces here. Ace king could certainly slow play on a turn. Kings could slow play on a turn. Aces could slow play on a turn. There's all kinds of crazy shit that can happen. But they could also check with queens, jacks, tens, nines, queen 10, like all kinds of different kings, tons of king X hands. I think if they have value, they probably would bet because people will tend to want to like charge the draws here, and we have a flush draw on the board. That's the thought process. Anyway, they did check, and so did I. Ace on the river. So pretty well all worlds were calling, except this world. I don't know who smashes the pot with anything but just massive value. I don't know. I don't think anybody would do this with queens through eights or sevens, let's say. Ace king, of course. Aces, of course. Ace queen, of course. Ace 10, maybe. Ace jack, maybe. Ace 9, ace 8. Ace 8, yes, of course. That's a house. Eights, yes. So much value. So what are the bluffs that we're bluff catching? Like, we have 0 stats. If this guy was a maniac, for sure we snap it off. But I just couldn't see what checks the turn after betting the flop, checks the turn. They have their whole range is here on the river, their raising range from the big blind. Again, with no reads, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. So this is a hand for review. I don't know whether that's a good hand or not. Means we did. King 10 will be a button open. Get a call. 8-7-7 is not our flop, so check it. 8-7-6 is still not our flop. They bet it and we fold. We'll defend at the very least. Good player, good stats. Let's at some point raise here as well, which we do. We fold. We should raise, but we don't. Actually chose to defend. The reason I chose to defend was they have a reasonable opening range. They have no 3 bets. Now that I'm looking at it, their pre-flop opens are quite low relative to their VPIP here. So let's see. In CFR, yeah, I mean they're opening properly there on the button. They call a lot. Well, and we just don't have a lot of stats. So maybe this is a misjudgment. I probably should have raised here. I need to be raising out of my big blind more. So just flat calling here is a little weak, but it's also protecting a calling range. And I suppose this is as good a combo as any to protect with. Don't really flop much. Actually, I lie. This is a fantastic flop for us. So this would be a flop that I could easily lead if I was a little bit more on it. This is a great looking flop for us, a terrible one for an MP open. And we should lead here. We should lead at some point for about probably just a third to a half pot. So this was a mistake. At some frequency. We don't have to always. We could check raise it too, depending on the player. Yeah, depending on the player, we can certainly check raise. See what happens. 2, so a little less than half pot. We do check raise, so that's good. We recognize the fact that this board was good for us. We got the fold. We should probably not play this hand from the small blind unless it's a raise, which it was. Fold. 6s are an open. I'll open like 5s at points, 4, 3, 2, and 1 and 2s. I don't usually open early unless I got a whole lot of nitty players in the table with me. It's defended. Ace 10 6. We're in position. I think some portion of the time I'm going to bet here, even with 6s. I've got lots of aces to bet, lots of bigger pairs to bet. Do we have showdown value yet? Maybe, maybe not. We could also check here, either way, which we did check. So the 10 comes. The 10, I think, probably is better for them. So I checked it. I don't know for sure, but I would say they have a lot more. What 10s do they have better than ours? Well, they have like 10-8, 10-7, 10-6, Queen 10 off, uh, King 10 off. I might not necessarily open under the gun. Yeah, some of those. So probably a better card for them. Plus, we have a little bit more showdown value now that they check the flop. Now they check the turn. I think our hand has strengthened. Our range is strengthened. So maybe in that sense, this would be a better hand to bet, because if they had a 10, they'd want to be getting money in. If they had an ace, they likely would be trying to get a little money in as well. So I think we do have bets here. Aces, of course. Whatever 10s we do have, of course. Possibly our kings, queens, jacks, maybe. Although that's getting edgy. For whatever times they don't bet their 10s. I'm not sure what calls. It's a tricky hand, actually. This is one maybe to review. Anyway, we see a river blank and decide to go for showdown, which we had. 7-3, I had a very loose defend from a mid-position player. Figured if we smacked it, it would be lucrative. We don't really smack much, but we do get a pair, middle pair on a not the super most advantageous board for them. Could certainly raise. Would rather have diamonds. Would rather have maybe a 7 with an ace spade. King 7 with king spade. Although I wouldn't, I probably would just fold those versus middle open. Say 7-5, maybe 7-6. Those might be more raisable just because they have a little bit more shit going on for them. Anyway, we just called. The 10, again, I think benefits us, not them. They recognize that and check. By now we're blanking on the river. I think we just go for showdown value and hope that, although, there we could probably put a little bit of a bet in. Maybe a third blocky bet and get calls from nothing. What would call us? Ace high, basically. Maybe ace highs would call ace king, ace queen, ace jack. No, not ace jack. Those ace queen up to queen. I don't think king queen calls necessarily. I don't know. It's probably fine to check too and try and show down. Oh, king queen. Maybe they would have called. Ace 2 is an open. We just fold them out. This is an interesting hand. So we open jack 10. We get raised quite a lot. So good player, good size. And back to us. Not like the best position to be in terms of stack size. It'll be 24 big blinds in. We'll have, 80 left, 86 left. 80, yeah, 90 left. So about 3, 4. It's not bad. It's a good hand, plays well. Potentially could re-raise. This player is 3-betting a lot. So that maybe would have, if I had registered that, maybe I could swing a 4-bet out of this hand. But also, I think a call probably plays well, depending, and we just hope we hit something worthwhile on the flop, which we don't. King, king, ace just destroys them, destroys me, and advantage to them. They should just bet all day long, which they don't. So what's going on there? Queens, jacks, tens, which we block, jacks we block, queens, nines, eights, sevens, or ace king slow played, king x slow played, ace is slow played, and ace, something along those lines. Those seems like that would be about their range. I can't think of what else they would. Queen 10 maybe they would re-raise suited. Again, we block. So the question here would be, they check to us, do we want to stab? Do we want to try and bluff this into such a strong polar range? And I decided I wanted to see the turn and see what happens. If we get a flush card on the turn, then I think maybe we can start using this bluff potentially. I'm not sure the logic of that tracks, but that was the thought process in game we got. But that's just the weirdest of all the cards to get. So anything we do now, even if we hit a flush, we've hate it. Like there's no draw here. There's no value in trying to make a hand, trying to make a flush. Like the only draw obviously is the Queen of Hearts. And like even versus queens we're losing because they have the higher card. So I just don't see responding to any bet as worthwhile because it builds the pot up more, reduces the SPR, and even though we're getting great odds, we just have no. There's no world where we want to draw to a flush because obviously. So the only world here, and what I thought, actually, I think I timed out on this hand. The only world here to me was a raise, and I just couldn't in my mind think what small bets into king king ace ace that would fold. That's like what pocket pair would do that. Would queens? I don't think so. Tens and jacks. I just don't see it. Like nothing in my mind. Small bets here, inducing almost me to make a call with a worse ace or a worse king, hoping. Well, actually, we're chopping there. Any ace and any king, we chop, obviously. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking he's getting a call from if he has kings or aces or ace king or whatever. So, like again, this was a hand that I really thought a lot about as I was playing, and I couldn't quite figure out what the best shot there is. Like Jack 10, it isn't even really a good bluffing candidate. I don't think. I think we want a queen, at the very least, to block ace queen and ace king, and king queen. Having a jack maybe helps with ace jack and ace king, or a king jack. But yeah, I just ended up folding, which is a pretty big pot to fold out of. But we'll see if that was smart. King jack, we'll raise. Yeah, we'll squeeze for sure. Get a call, get two calls. So grim situation, not our flop, not our board, not our color, not anything. So just check it and fold it when especially when the second guy calls. We'll open on the button, get a fold, open on the button, get a cold call from the small blind with relatively decent stats. So that's interesting. Notice my C bets are so fucking bad compared to at least this guy. Like I am not C betting near enough. 33 versus 69, that is ridiculous. I'm way under C betting. And this is probably going to be one of them. Nope, I did. Okay, that's fine. So paired board, small jack, cold call in the small blind. My overpairs are better. Even my nines and tens and eights are better, probably more times than not than theirs, but they call. So king, I think, is mine, and I bet again. You get a fold. It's just a bare ace. Get folds from ace 10, ace queen, ace, nothing else. I get folds from eights, sevens, sixes, fives, nines, tens. So there's lots of hands in their range that, while those higher aces probably are 3-bet considering the player. So really, we probably are just getting folds from some middle with small pocket pairs, but they're folds, I guess. Yeah, and I don't know. I honestly don't know whether that's a good play there. I can't imagine what that range is at this point, like what a cold calling range in the small blind is, because I haven't really studied it. So that would be something to think about. Open, fold. Open, fold. Open, call. Not a great board for us. If I bet it, it would be bigger, but I'm out of position, and I generally like to keep my bet small out of position, so I'm going to check likely. They bet more than half pot. Because of the 3 and the 2 helping us, and I think I decided to call, but what I didn't register was their stack size. So I have to be very careful about that because they're playing a short stack. 7 comes, doesn't really help us at all. Shouldn't really help them. Well, they did call. No stats on this person. They're playing a half stack, probably fishy. So any bets they make, I'm probably believing, but they don't make one. Queen comes, and I decide, I think, yeah, that this is my card, but I decide to go for like a blocker bet, thinking I could get some folds from better, and maybe some calls from like ace-x hands. So I don't know whether the theory of that is wise. I know that if I get raised, I'm out, of course. But I just felt like 7x, 8s, 9s maybe would fold. 10s maybe even would fold. I doubt a jack's going to fold, especially to a small bet. I don't know the player, so I don't know the logic of that playing out. And they called with 4s. So I was completely wrong about what they would fold, because if they're not folding 4s, they're not folding anything else that I was naming. But I was right to go for a little thin value, I guess. That's surprising. 7s will be a squeeze open. Not a squeeze, but a 3-bet, and we're going to fold. This will be blind versus blind open, and then a shove, which we're not going to call with. Even for a half stack, we're not going to call. King 9, maybe ace 9 suited, ace 10 suited, yes. I don't know whether any of those smaller aces I would call for a half stack. Probably not. Ace queen, 3-bet. A call. We're in position. A shitty board for us. Better for them. They check it. We'll probably check. If we had some hearts in our hand, I would be more likely to put some more money in. Pot's already not bad. I'm 20 big blinds with 75, so we're like 3-1. So not super urgent to get money in now. We have the potential for later if we hit something worthy. So I just went for a check. 8's not our card either. They bet, and I mean, we just got overs, so I see no value in calling and continuing. That maybe is a bad thing. Let me know. Ace-7. This could be a raise. This could also be a call. I have no stats on the person, so I likely will just call. Ace, queen, queen, 5, rainbow. Not a board I'm going to stab very often, so we'll just check. We see another check. Hit a 7. I decide, I think, to go for some kind of a half pot bet for value, because I almost certain a queen would bet the flop. So I feel like we're ahead and we can get some value from ace high hands and smaller pocket pairs. We're in trouble against the bigger pocket pairs that are in there as well. But it seems like maybe we can get some. And then there's a certain amount of protection in actually getting those ace X hands to fold out too. And what do they do? Oh, we checked. Oh, I thought I was going to bet and I didn't. They checked, but I called their bet because it was small and we have second pair. And if they had a queen, they probably bet on the flop. So I'm hoping to see a river, which I think I'm going to. Nope, I'm not. So this hand, I don't know about this hand. This is a hand to review. Don't think that was well played. Not sure why I would fold a 4 to a tiny little bet. That seems very callable. It just is no, I think that's a blunder. Like that's a mistake. I should have called there. Jack 9 will open, we get a fold. 4-6 will probably defend three-way and just hope for something fantastic. Kind of get something fantastic, but it's with an ace on board. So we're really just trying to get to showdown, and when we get a bet and a call, I think we fold it out because there's so many aces. Queen 10 will raise, get a call, we got a top pair. In position, I can see putting in a half pot bet here, 3/4 pot bet. Put in, yeah, half pot. And I get a huge raise. So what raises me? 4s, 8s, 10s. 10-8. Where's the button? Nope, they're the big blind. 10-8, 10-4, 8-4. So lots of sets and two pairs. We don't have any of those two pairs. There's no re-raising, obviously. All we have likely better than them are 10s and maybe 8s. They're super tight. VPIP 14. They never raise. 3-bet never. Again, only seen 7 hands, so it doesn't really say much. It's a big raise. It's 5x, almost 4x. It's pot, basically. 5, 7, 9, more than pot, slightly over pot. Is that right? Yeah. We have lots of better 10s. We have lots of better pairs. We have a queen 10 even with a diamond, spade, or club. Maybe I could see making a call, but my gut tells me this should be a fold, which it isn't, which I don't. So that seems like a mistake point as well, potentially. But it is top pair. We got to defend. They could also be making a play on a disadvantageous board to us. Recognizing this is much more of Big Blind's board than ours. But we did make quite a big bet. So that would tell you either if they know what they're doing, that they are raising something bigger, better, or they're just not recognizing. I just think any bet is raisable here on this board. King comes, my card. So any top pair that raised, any second pair that raised is now going to be sweating it. And they check after the check raise. So I think this card is mine every day of the week. But I'll check it here because this is also a showdownable hand. Especially against a worse 10, a worse 8, and any sort of crazy bluffs. Not crazy, let's not say crazy, but any sort of bluffs like 9-7, 9-6, Jack 9, like all of those on the flop could certainly have made that raise. And as it turns out, it was 9-7. So good call on the flop, but possibly not ultimately, and worth checking to see. That's all oh no. So we have a Jack 10 now. How many more hands do we have? Jack Queen, where are we? Jack Queen is up here. Still quite a bit of hands. Okay, I'll do a few more and then I might let it go. So we open, get a call, go three-way, ace on the board. Almost always I check when it's checked to me, but this time it isn't. They lead out, and they only lead out for a blind, which is this weird bet that I'm seeing a lot where people are making these one bind blocker bets that you don't really know what they're doing. It's almost like this bookmark placeholder that they're doing to just like kind of he's throwing like a rock into the road to make the car kind of jolt a bit or something. So I decide to call with the backdoor queen heart, which is a pretty thin call, but the price is just so small. And any aggression, I'm going to bail out. But I just felt like a one blind into two full underblind stacks could work out in our favor. Having said that, we're not even drawing to the nuts. So the only nuts that come are King 10. So I don't know. And we're also aligning ourselves like with all this multi-way stuff I've been looking at with the rocket solver. Call here really incentivizes this guy to squeeze. Florin Hausa, that more than not, the solver has a ton of squeezes there, especially to like a weak open and a weak call. So really I'm just inducing. But again, 1 into 8. And if we hit it, we could get lots. We could get big stacks. So I call. And they raise they raise 1. So in my mind, a raise of min raise into 2 people is very, I don't know what the fuck it is. It's strong, I guess. It's weird. I just don't know what these people are doing. I don't know. I mean, this guy is no good, right? Like a 33 VPIP with no pre-flop raises and no 3-bets, although only 3 hands. So can't judge that. So anyway, when he calls, I just gave up. There's no point. I don't know where that was going. Let's see what happens. He doesn't even see the flop river. What happened though? So this guy still led. This guy called, so the aces are good. And then this guy leads again, nothing, tiny little bets, and then this guy just pots it, and buddy folds. So who knows? Who knows what was going through people's minds? We're gonna raise now. This guy, the reason I really, even though this bet size 3.5 big blinds was bigger than I like to raise 3-bet a lot. Like I'll tighten up my 3-bet range quite a bit before I want to put in 12 blinds. They're ridiculous. Like a 75 VPIP with a 25 free flop. Like who knows? No 3-bets to speak of. But then again, 4 hands. So not the most useful of stats, but at least the 4 times I've seen them, they've opened 3 of those 4 times. So I guess I should probably also think about the fact that they opened 3 or 4 times, but then pre-flop raised them once, and this will be the second time they've done that out of 5 hands. So maybe I should have given a little bit more strength to that, considering the size. So what goes around to them and they go bananas for some insane size. Oh, and it's not insane. Sorry, it's 3x my 3-bet. So we're giving up. But and I don't love that. I don't love the work in that hand. I'll be interested to see what GTO Wizard thinks that I should have done. Standard open, call, big blind versus button versus big blind. We have bottom pair, middle pair, they lead into us on a board that's definitely theirs. We call to defend that. Board continues to develop in their favor. They again lead for half pot, and I think we just let it go. Don't have any draws. Nothing tells us we're going to be good unless we hit a four of four of diamonds. Four of hearts is no good, so just let it go. Sixes in the small blind to a limp. We're going to open, get a call, hit a set, check it. Check it because 6-4-2 probably have led there for a, like again, when I'm out of position, I generally just keep my bet small if I'm playing at all. In this case, I am very strong, but it's not like, I mean, there's tons of better hands or worse hands that can call, like all those overpairs, any ace X, lots of potential for calls. So I think I might have thought to check raise if they bet, which they didn't. But yeah, I don't know whether that also is probably reviewable. It's thoughtful. And then the 7 comes, which doesn't advantage us, but we have a really good part of our range right now. I should just polarize the hand. 5-3 is the only hand that's the nuts and 7s. There's no point in making a small bet like this, even if I am out of position. Like, go half at least, if not 3/4. We want to build a pot. We missed street. Bad size. Go bigger, go bigger, go bigger. Get a call. Jack comes. Now we should polar, which we do, pot, and they fold. Queen opened and the small blind raised, and this could be like a 4-bet hand, maybe. 3-bet. We open, yeah, 3-bet or 4-bet, I don't know. We open raise, do 3-bet, yeah, 4-bet. We could go to 24. It's definitely a bluffable hand, but as it turns out, that was all the money they had. So I just ended up calling them, give them action. So I'm a good poker community member. And they win, of course, because everybody wins against me. Let's raise queen, ace queen suited, get a call from kind of a nitty weird player on the button. I don't have a calling range in the big blind versus cutoff, so I don't know what that looks like. It's probably a thinner big blind range, maybe. And we get them as well. So everybody and their dog comes along. We're monkey in the middle. Flop's not really that great for our range. Don't have a lot of 2s, I don't think, in the cutoff. Maybe ace 2. King 2, sometimes I'll open. That's pretty well it. 2s, I guess. Generally don't open 3-2. And then we have jacks. So we have a house or kind of nothing, over pairs and middle pairs. Well, we do have a backdoor straight draw or flush draw, which can be helpful. So anyway, I decided, I think, to just check here because we're in the middle, let the final player play. And then we get a call and or a bet and a call for half pot and then a call. We have overs and a backdoor. I don't know whether I like just continuing with a ace high hand here. Kind of wish I had at least a pair, a better pair in and around that jack. Queen blocks a jack, but even with a jack, like a pair of jacks, we can certainly hit a jack on the river or on the turn or the river if we see it. Getting good odds into 2 players, I make the call. King comes, way better for me. This guy checks. We now have a gut shot, but and not the flush draw we would have liked to have seen. Certainly could check raise here, but nobody bets. And then the ace on the river. I think even though a flush came in, I think I can get some thin value from a king, jack, queens. Queens wouldn't be there. King X, jack X, some tens, nines, eights, potentially, depending on how um, generous these folks feel like they are. So I probably could have put a bet in there, but I'm also fine with checking down with top pair on a flush board to not get myself into too much trouble. Those eights might have called a bet. 10, 9. Yeah. So we win kind of a pot, but I wonder if there was a bet to be made there with after the check multi-way. So the problem with multi-way is you don't really know how much action you can take on rivers that are not fantastic, but you potentially have value on. Like getting King X calls for sure. But at the same time, you don't want to really bet too big because you could be betting into flushes or houses even somehow. A house. King 2, ace 2, something. Anyway, what was that hand? I think we defend. Oh, we raise. Good. So raising, like bluff raising with a suited hand, small pairs, get lots of shit to fold out of that. Get a call instead. Get middle pair, backdoor flush. Decided to go for the check because of the queen high board. If it was king, I'd probably put a bet out. Queens and jacks out of position, I generally don't bet much on. They're a pretty high VPIP, 41, so their range is likely quite wide. So I could have exploited by putting a C bet in there and get that stupid ass number up a little bit more, but I didn't. So check. Ace, now they have lots of, and I think when they bet more than half pot, we just fold it out. Ace is like maybe better for my range, but likely not. Like the button has a ton of aces, and I have probably less, and I'll call with more ace suited, middle ace suited, and I'll call with more ace offs than I will raise. I'm actually likely calling more aces than I am raising aces in from the big blind versus the button. So the ace is really their card, and I respect it. King 7, defend could easily be a 3-bet, especially against a wacko 55. Like really 55 and 3-bet 50 and then c-bet 33. Like I don't even know how to play that game. I would be opening a whole lot and then doing nothing on the flop, I guess. So maybe defending here is better, and then attacking a super wide range that can't be defended. We hit a 7, but we have a third player who we don't have any stats on and has done nothing in the times we've seen him. So I think it's just check to that guy who does nothing again. You know, a lot of the low C bets is also because we end up going multi-way and tend to C bet less multi-way. But I really wish this number were more like 50 or 55 or 60. So now we got a flush draw, which is good. That guy bets. We are going to call. I don't see a lot of value in raising with a second nut flush and a pair into two other players. We really want to see what Buckner 14 does. The only benefit to a raise is like maybe a 50% raise. 50% would have been to get position. We're kind of setting ourselves up also to be squeezed, like I said before. And I don't know how much we love being squeezed with this particular hand. It's a little shitty. But without any read on MXL888, I don't know. I think if it was A7, maybe then I could raise. But even then, maybe that's not a good. It's just kind of piling money in with medium value and a really good draw. Maybe Jack 7 or Queen 7. And get some. No, because we're beating King X and Ace X hands with the 7s. I don't know. This is a multi-way spot that I don't really know the best way to play. I don't know if a raise is better. Again, calling kind of is, I've been trying to be a little less passive, but multi-way, I don't see what value there is in going to whole hog. So if we get repolared after that, then we have a really lovely hand that we're not wanting probably to continue with. They're a lot deeper than we are as well. So, if we re-raise, that pot starts to grow quite quickly. I don't know. I don't know how to play that spot. This is a reviewable hand. They call as well. So we brick, they bet. Half pot. Because this guy's behind us, I decide to fold, I think. I don't see what value there would be in lining ourselves up to get raised if they've been slow playing something. You just get this middle of the board, middle position between two people. It's like the old limit days where you just get, call, raise, re-raise, fold, or call, like you just get squeezed out. But I call. But I call. So yeah, this hand I'm not loving a lot of what I did just because I really don't know best way to play. And for sure they have a 10. It's probably a hand worth sharing with the group. So I'll try and make up to do. Ace Queen. Where are we at with our Ace Queen? Queens. What was that hand? That was King 7, Ace Queen. Yeah, we're still a few hands to go. I'm going to wrap it up here shortly. Get a big push here, or not big push, but a squeeze. And in this particular case, I decide to 4-bet. I'm not totally sure what made me decide this guy needed to be 4-betted against. This guy is very tight, but calls. Some points I have to 4-bet with ace queen. At some points, I'm going to fold this. I'm in position, so I could call maybe and see a flop, but no, I'm not calling. There's never a call here. I think the position maybe sways me to fold more. If I was out of position, I'm not. Let's see again, multi-way. Position's good, so we have that advantage. So raising, we're already kind of at a positive EV spot. This guy's 3-bet so low though. Anyway, we make it 32 and they both fold. I don't know. With that guy's 3-bets being so low, maybe that was a bad play. When they 3-bet, they could be very, very strong. 4's open, get a fold. 8's ace 8 gets 3-bet. I decide to go for it when this other person calls, particularly because they're really bad ADV pip. And then we get an ace top pair. Small c-bet, they fold, we're going to call. 10s come in, we check that. 10s are probably slightly better for us. And they check. 3s come. Now I bet half pot to get paid by kings, queens, jacks, something. I don't think this is a good bet here. I think we should just check call. And they get called from ace queen, probably. Ace jack. Yeah. So that was a bad bet. That was bad. Just bad river. Put that bad river in here. That's the kind of hand. See, this is where value leaks out, is where I do stuff like that, where I think, oh yeah, kings will call, or a king will call, queens, jacks, nines. Like, they won't call, though. On an ace, king, 10-10 board, they're not going to call. So I over optimistically put money in a position where the money should not have gone in. The 3 is a blank. I'm not repping a 10 with that bet size. If anything, if I'm going to try and turn my hand into a bluff, which doesn't seem wise, seems like an ace 9 maybe would be a better bluff, or ace jack maybe to block a 10s and to block aces. Maybe. I don't think the 8 is the right card to bluff on. Plus, there's a certain amount of misdrawness to this board. And Queen Jack is kind of up there in the nut land. So maybe a hand more like Queen 9 or Jack 9 would be better bluff hands. I'm not sure that I would be here with those though. So anyway, that was a bad play. Not the right hand to bluff with. Although I did block an ace. Whatever. Ace 9, 8-9 is just an open. We hit the gut shot. We'll check and call. 7 isn't really our card, nor is it they decide theirs. I think now we're going to put in a bet, especially on the scare card ace of 3/4 pot, and we get called. But I don't, fuck, they hit an ace. But I don't think that's a bad bluff there. This hand's not winning a showdown hardly ever. Jacks might fold. A jack might fold. Any other pocket pair will probably fold. The only thing that's calling is aces or 7s or some really made hand. So, blocker wise, I don't know what help we have. Ace 8, we block 8-7 and 9-7, I suppose. But I don't know. That seems like an okay hand to bluff. Let's see if we can review that one later. Queen 10, standard open, get called, flop 2 pair against an ace. Gonna bet at half pot, get folded. Aces, fold. That's what's been happening endlessly. Endlessly. Maybe I should start slow playing aces. Fold. 3s. Okay, this is a good hand. So we go multi-way with top set. No, bottom set. Boards in our favor. At this point now, I'm going to actually put a bet in, small bet, and hope to get some calls. Got one call. That's cool. When they check to me, I want a polar. So I B75. They check raise me. So what's beating? 9s, 6s, kings, slow play kings. That's it. I beat king 9, 9-6, king 3, 9-3, 9-6-3. So there's lots of value that they potentially think they can check raise that I'm beating. Having said that, I think I decided to just call. Even though I've been talking about trying to add more 3 bets into my post-flop play, I didn't see the value in going extra polar because I can call and get close to leverage by calling and call on the river, which is what I'm going to do when they shove, which they do. Now, Queen Jack just came in. Flush draw busted. And we're still losing the kings, 9s, and 6s. And now 10s. Tens would not have check raised that flop or turn. So I think I thought for a few seconds and then just called. And they had 5-8. 5-8. So gut shot, flush draw. Probably not a terrible play. Not sure it's a good play on the river, though. That does not, to me, seem like the right thing to be doing. What's the... Yeah, it's a pot size shove. Slightly less than pot. I've shown a lot of strength by calling their check raise. I guess a king, if I had ace king or something like that, maybe they could get a fold from me. King queen, probably I would fold. So maybe in that way, it's a good bluff. Certainly, obviously, set's not going to fold. So, but I don't know, maybe aces, queens. I don't know if queens would call a flop check raise or turn check raise. Yeah, I don't know. I think the other reason I just kind of auto clicked was a 50 VPIP, 50 PFR, 43 bet, like aggression city, right? So, yeah. Anyway, that was put one in the win column. Gotta raise out. Where are we at now? Threes. Still got quite a few hands. I think I'm gonna pack her in now because I'm feeling kind of tired. But I hope that there was some meat in this review that people might want to, if you're looking at this, might want to put some comments in the, or put some notes in the comments for me. Otherwise, I will continue to do this in the days to come into a silent void of nothingness. But we'll